Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Well-Appointed Mystic. Today I thought I would talk about some of my favorite tarot reference books. And I know that there are a lot of books that are on everyone's list and should probably be consulted at some point. Basically anything that Rachel Pollack wrote. Certainly, you know, the sort of, if you can get a copy of the original A.E. Waite, Rider-Waite tarot little guidebook, I found a copy of that for about $10 at some point. And it's just interesting to see his definitions and interpretations of each of the cards. They are very much skewed to the time and the type of person that Arthur Waite was. And certainly everyone should have those in their collection if they plan on sort of doing tarot throughout their life. It's good to sort of reference these things. Rachel Pollack's books are wonderful, but those aren't always the books that I go back and refer to when I have questions in a reading. The books that I tend to go back to or use regularly might maybe be considered more contemporary books, so they have a slightly more contemporary point of view, or books that sort of helped me understand tarot because they were told through someone's more personal stories. And I think that has helped me a lot in what I'm learning and kind of getting through tarot. So the first book that I wanted to bring up was Melissa Sanova's Kitchen Table Tarot. She pulls no punches. She says things like she means them. And this is one of my favorite books. And you'll notice that there's like things stuck in all of the pages as I've referred back to various parts of the book. And it's written very conversationally, and it has advice for giving readings to other people. So if that's something that you think you might ever do, this is a great book to have in your collection, specifically if you think you might want to do readings for other people. But her sort of straight talk and honesty and just sort of addressing like, am I doing things wrong? What should I do if things don't go well? Whether it's reading for someone else or for reading for yourself. I just think it's a great resource. The book was published by Llewellyn, and the price list on the back is $16.99. So that's one of my favorites. It's probably one that I often just pull off the shelf if I'm using a deck of tarot cards that I'm not getting a clear idea. So I kind of tend to go back to one of these other books and look and see what their sort of basic meaning is for the card, rather than going to like a guidebook included in a different deck. So this is one of my absolute most favorite books, and this is The Creative Tarot by Jessa Crispin. This one was published by Simon & Schuster and retails for $22. As someone who is creative, and this book really spoke to me because it sort of runs the history of tarot and the different cards through literature and music and other aspects. So for each card meaning that she includes, she also includes a list of recommended materials. So it can be books, it can be paintings, it can be audio recordings that sort of encapsulate sort of how she interprets each of the cards. And for me, you know, like the Star, and her recommended material is The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. That for me is such a clear, I get it now, you know, sort of moment. So it's just, and I really like the way that she talks through different things. She specifically talks about like creators' films or music or books. And then she included pictures in here of some of the cards that she designed, which is a deck I would love to get someday. But I know that it's out of print and probably impossible to get, but I really like the collage look of this deck. It's really pretty. So anyway, this is one of my favorites. It's if you like art, music, literature, it's a great filter. You know, I mean, here she's talking about Jean-Michel Basquiat in regards to the Page of Wands. So, you know, it just is really fun, and it's a different interpretation of tarot for people who might look at the world in a different way. So this is more of a workbook for me. I've gone through it a couple times now. My goal at some point is to actually go through all 78 cards in a tarot deck and going through each of these 21 steps that she has in here. And so it's 21 ways to read a tarot card, and there's an activity to go through. So at the beginning of the book, she has you pick out one, like basically pull one tarot card and work through each of these exercises using that same card. And the exercises range from like beginner exercises to more advanced. So like there's the Way of the Apprentice exercises, and then there's the Way of the Adept, which are the more advanced exercises. So I just think that this is it's a great way to sort of really deep dive. I think if you have a favorite deck and really want to do like a deep dive and do, you know, make your own journal planner for that deck, then using this book is a great way to do it. This one is also published by Llewellyn and lists for $21.99, at least when I purchased it. So those are the 3 books that I have as physical media. The rest of the books that I have presently are digital. And so one of the books that I have is this book called All of Our Stories, the Little Red Tarot Guidebook from the Little Red Tarot website. It basically took the books, the content that they had created on the website on littleredtarot.com and put it into book format. I have it in Apple Books because I purchased the PDF and was able to just drop it into the Books app so that I can use it digitally. For me, this is a great one. Again, it's a very modern interpretation. There's a lot of conversations in here. Let me go to an actual card. But so for each of the cards, it just goes through sort of a description and details and stories, and it's you know, it even references modern tarot decks like the Wild Unknown and how things are portrayed in those decks, and just has a very modern take. A lot of the book focuses on inclusivity and that kind of thing. So it's just a great reference, and because I have it digitally on my device, it is easy to access. I can access it on my phone or my tablet, so I can reference it on the go. So if I hit a point where I'm doing a card a day or something and I'm stumbling through the meanings, I tend to refer to the Little Red Tarot book because it has usually very clear interpretations of the various cards. The rest of the books that I like, I have in my Everand subscription, and one of them is the Tarot Elements by Melissa Sanova, which is the follow-up book to Kitchen Table Tarot, and this one is basically 5 tarot readings to help basically un-F your life, and it's just a really interesting read. Rather than being a reference book, it's again more of a workbook kind of thing where you can kind of work through if you are dealing with, you know, you're feeling really stuck and want to kind of straighten things out. Modern Tarot by Michelle T. is another book that I really liked because she walked through her own personal life story with tarot sort of worked in, and how different readings and situations led her to like sort of understand the tarot better. And there was just some really cool personal stories that I found really engaging, to the point where I think I've actually read it twice. because she struggled in her life, and tarot helped her to get through a lot of that, which I think is really cool. Ethany Dawn's Your Tarot Court is another book that I really like. Court cards caused me to stumble quite a bit, and this book has definitely helped me to sort of sort it out a little bit more. And then the last two books on my list are both Theresa Reed books. One is Tarot No Questions Asked, which is I think it's a modern classic at this point. But again, I think she's like the successor in a lot of ways to Rachel Pollack in terms of just being no nonsense, modern thinker, and very well respected in the community. And then Tarot for Troubled Times is dealing more with shadow and healing yourself and the often troubled world that we live in. And so that one, again, less of a reference book and more of a just a great book to sort of dive into. So those are my books. I didn't count how many there were. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 books. So, and these are just, I like to think of them as sort of not your standard books, but ones that I think really introduce a different way to sort of think about tarot, and particularly for people who find that they might be struggling with how dense some of the other books are, because I have a lot of other tarot books that are epic in terms of their content and esoteric references, but I feel like these are probably the most easy to get into if you're new to tarot, if you're looking for something that doesn't seem scary and spooky and full of references to hermetic orders and things like that. I think these are great places to start. So those are my book recommendations. Please put your favorite tarot guidebook or reference book in the comments. I would really love to hear what books I'm missing and what books are your favorites. So thanks so much, and I will talk to you again soon.